Pennsylvania is facing a multi-billion-dollar public pension crisis. The topic was discussed recently in a public hearing held by the House Finance and State Government Committees. State Representative Matt Gabler is a member of both of those committees and is here to talk about the hearing and existing legislation. Representative, how serious is the pension problem?
This is a very serious problem in Pennsylvania. Now, accounting for public pensions or any pension system is a complicated thing that can result in different answers, but there's wide agreement that the unfunded liability in our state pensions exceeds $20 billion. In other words, we could completely shut down the state for 1 year, take all of our revenues and put it into the pension system and maybe just barely solve the problem. And of course, you know, we can't do that. There's plenty of responsibilities that the state has and needs to keep up with. So how do we handle this unfunded liability? And it comes from two places. One, when times were good, legislators made the poor decision to not put the adequate share into the system, and two, made too generous of promises to the people in the system. So now we've promised much more than the pension system can sustain or deliver, and now we've got a problem that we've got to deal with.
There's existing legislation. Critics will no doubt say that legislators can easily support this because they will be grandfathered into a changed pension system. How do you respond to that?
Well, I would say that first that there needs to be leadership on this issue, and there's really two sides to it. One is, how do we fund the unfunded liability, and two, how can we structure the system going forward to keep the problem from getting worse? One thing that I would say is that I have always believed that our state pension system does need to be reformed. We very much need to make sure that we are not putting more and more people into a system that can't sustain and can't keep the promises that it's making without significant pain to the taxpayers. That's why when I first joined the General Assembly, I turned down the state pension, because what I would like to do is I would like to come up with a defined contribution style plan, meaning the contributions that go in by an employee are the contributions that are collected at retirement, which is different from what we currently have, a defined benefit plan. I'll be the first one to sign up for that plan. So I want to support some reforms for our new hires. I want to support some reforms for the legislature specifically to make sure that we can lead by example. And I want to be the first one to sign up for the new reformed plan to lead by example and to show people that the new plan can be good not only for the taxpayers but also for the employees and our public servants.
The hearing looked at 9 pieces of legislation, 5 of which you have co-sponsored, or signed on to co-sponsor, I should say. Which ones stand out in your mind?
There's a number that do, and I would divide them into 2 categories. One category would be the bills that enable us to lead by example, and that means changing the pension plan for the legislature specifically. Now, these plans don't necessarily have a huge dollar impact on the overall state budget, but what it does is it finally puts the legislators in a category where they're in the same boat as the people they serve. The vast majority of people who work in private sector non-government occupations have 401k style plans or defined contribution style pension systems. And so I think that it's important that representatives be in the same boat as the people they represent. And so I think that's just from a good government standpoint very important. And so there are a number of bills. Representative Krieger from Westmoreland County has a bill that would change the pension system for all legislators immediately, including current legislators, into a defined contribution style plan. Representative Ivankovich also from down around that area has a bill that would create a new category for new hires for newly elected legislators and for newly hired legislative staffers that would create a defined contribution style plan. I think both bills are great bills and great reforms, and we just need to try to move something through so that we can lead by example. But aside from that, we've got to handle the problem, which is that our public school employees retirement system and our state employees retirement system, those are our 2 major pension systems in this state, are severely underfunded, and we continue to underfund the liabilities that we're taking on. And so I think that the first thing we need to do is be honest with the young people that we're hiring into new professions with the state and enable them to put their retirement money away into an account that they can collect on later that isn't dependent upon the rest of the system that may or may not be solvent in years to come. Now, the fact of the matter is we are required by law to keep it solvent, which means the taxpayers will be on the hook. And so we need to be responsible to the taxpayers. Those are the people who we as legislators answer to. And so by moving to a defined contribution style plan in any number of bills that have been proposed for new hires, that would be the first way to make sure that we stop the problem from getting bigger, and then we've got to go to the issue of trying to fund the system in a responsible way.
If you have questions about this or any other legislative topic, we'll show you Representative Gabler's contact information in a few seconds. I'm Scott Little. Thanks for spending 5 minutes with State Representative Matt Gabler.